Hello, Sonia, and welcome to the third episode of Empower Her. I am super excited to have you on. I've obviously heard a little bit of your background and story now, and you've just blown me away already. So I'm really excited for you to share your journey with the Empower Her community. So let's get started. First of all, for anybody that doesn't actually know you, if you just give a bit of a brief background about yourself and introduce yourself.
Hiya, so I'm Sonia. I am a mother of two. So I've got a 21-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son and three fur babies actually as well. And I am the founder and managing director of Southern Oaks Limited, which is a oak company, and we design, manufacture and install bespoke oak frames.
Okay, brilliant. So what's story behind that? Kind of what's led you up to this point of having you running your own business?
So for me, what had happened is almost about 3 years ago, I was made redundant from my job due to COVID-19 happened. And then when I went back to my job, it just didn't exist anymore because it was face to face and so forth. And then at that time, I was also going through a breakdown of my relationship with my son's father. And having to think about that we were needing to move out of our home, and I'd have to downsize, and just a lot of different things was happening at the same time, which are really sort of like big traumatic events in someone's life. And an opportunity came around where somebody had said to me that there was a oak company that was sort of closing down in the south of England, and there'll be a gap in the market. And ultimately, while I'd been working my 9 to 5 job, my son's dad had always been in construction, and I'd always ended up being sort of her indoors, who basically was just doing all of this back office stuff. So the tendering, the paying the lads, ordering materials, and all this sort of things, the marketing of the business and stuff like that. And so I knew how to run a construction company, but it was about, this opportunity came, and I just went to myself, do you know what? If not now, then when? And actually, I've always tend to go to kind of roles that were me being in control of my own, my own schedule. So even though I was in PAYE, I was still doing things like event management or account management, where I was in control of my own schedule. I like to be my own boss. I don't like to be micromanaged and things like that. So actually, that entrepreneurial spirit was always in me anyway. Probably I just was too scared to go for it because you have kids, and then you've got bills, and you've got, and you make all of these excuses as to why it's never the right time. So with everything else failing, I just thought, well, what more can go wrong? So let me just go for it and try it. And I did. And thank God I did, because it was 100% the best decision. And and it's just been amazing for me and my children, to be fair.
Oh, brilliant. That made me giggle when you said what can go wrong with
Yeah.
because it is I feel like sometimes you have to have that mindset, don't you, of the only way is up from here, surely.
Exactly. When you reach down to the bottom, there is just like the only way is up, and you just think, you know what, if not now, when would I back myself if not now,
Definitely. And we're on a side note on that, because a lot of people do get in that mindset of it's not the right time, I'm not in the right position. So people hold themselves back so much. And I think there is a bit of is there really ever a right time? Life is always happening. So there's never a right time. So you've obviously had the courage to build your own business in a time where everything else was actually falling apart. So what helped you find that courage to actually start? And do you have any tips for anybody that would be in a position where they want to pursue something new and step into that new journey for themselves, but they're holding themselves back for some reason?
Yeah, for me, obviously, my situation kind of pushed me into being able to make a decision. But for some other people, they might have the situation where they're in a 9 to 5 and it's quite comfortable, and they're earning a good salary. And actually, although they have this little thing in them that wants to do something, or they consistently think of like different businesses that they could do. I have so many friends who come to me now that I'm doing it are like, oh my God, I've got this idea for this or this idea for that. And that's male and female. But they're just not brave enough to take the first step. And I say, you don't have to do it like how I did it. I just went all in. I could have gone back and, to the 9 to 5 and did the, let me just go and get a 9 to 5 job and then try and work my way. but I didn't. I went all in. I'm saying you don't have to do that. My tips would be that if you want to do something, but you don't feel brave enough to just go all in, or you physically can't because you financially can't, then basically just start doing it while you're doing your 9 to 5. Start small and then just build. And as you start to be able to maybe pay yourself a small wage, then you can, go maybe cut your hours to 9 to 5 and then so forth. But I even also say this isn't about it just being sort of, making more money. I feel like I feel richer in other ways, in the way of, like I was saying as well, like the other day I did a social media post about this same thing. And I'm basically saying to these women, like, it's not about you having a richer life money wise. You might have to put loads more money into the business than into your own pocket for a while, but you will be richer in other ways. You'll have more time with your children. You'll be able to run your own schedule. That flexibility of freedom, to be more present with the people that you want to be, you want to be around, you want to spend your days with, is priceless. So yeah, I think that's one of the main things. It's a tip to just start, because there's never going to be a better time to just get going with it. And then if you can't manage to just go all in, just start small and build your way up, and you'll see the benefits from it. Just in your lifestyle will just change, and your mentality will change, definitely. So that would be my tips.
I love that. And I agree with all of that, because I've been in a very similar position where, so that's basically what I've done, is I still have a job. That is my guaranteed income whilst building my businesses. So I've factored in and been a bit more time productive to make sure that I can build stuff alongside what I do. And then as it builds, the rest will phase out. And that's like one of my big reasons as well, is the freedom of it. Is I
Yes.
knew there was more to life than working a 9 to 5 job, getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home, having my dinner, watching a bit of telly, going to sleep, getting up in the morning, going to work.
Exactly.
I was like,
You
I'm
can't
made for
believe that.
more than this.
Yeah, you can't believe when you step away from it, you can't believe that was your life for so many years. And that actually, even sometimes now, though, it's quite funny, because like people who knew me from before, when I was working a 9 to 5, and but they go to me, how was you doing both? Like now it just feels like, and I'm just like, because now I'm still working just as much, because if they see me doing things in the day and like, how are you managing to do this and do that? And I say, because I'm happy to, when Harrison, like my son, goes down in the evening after I've done homework and dinners and the rest of it, to jump back on at my business, because it doesn't feel like a chore that I'm jumping back on in the evening, because it's my business. It's coming back to me. It's a different type of mentality. Whereas if you had to jump on at work, say if work said, okay, you can take a few hours out because you've got to go and see your son's play, or at school, or sports day, or something that you might need to take time out for, then if you had to jump back on later on in the evening, you'd be begrudging. You'd be like, oh my God, I've got to jump back on at work, because it's for somebody else. You're actually growing somebody else's dream, somebody else's lifestyle, and the rest of it. So, but don't get me wrong, I don't down 9 to 5. At the same time, I think that being an entrepreneur, having your own business it's not easy, and actually it does take a certain type of mindset, and it's definitely not for everyone. So I only like champion it for people that I think like, you've definitely got it in you, you've got the ideas, you're speaking like one already, the way you behave is like one already. It's just that you need to find the courage to take the step to do it. But it's definitely not for everybody. I definitely think that it's good that we have the option of 9 to 5 as well as owning your own business.
Some people are happy with that, aren't they? And that's great. If you're happy, you feel fulfilled with it. That's what you want, is to just go home from work and be done.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely brilliant. But if there is something in you that's telling you there's something more, I feel like that's when you really need to take that step forward and not lose that opportunity to actually fulfill what you're looking for. A big thing that I say is feel the fear and do it anyway.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
fear will
love that.
hold you back from so much. And I'm a big advocate for that. Like I put it in place in my life all the time. And the growth that you have from that as well, by just stepping out of your comfort zone, that, like how you've just been saying, how much more you get from running your own business and stuff, the personal growth that comes along with that, and the new skills that you learn by constantly pushing yourself, is just, like you say, it's not easy, but it's worth it.
100% worth it.
Yeah, and I feel the same. That was one of my thoughts, was when I was just in a normal 9 to 5. My job is very flexible now, so it's a lot different. But when I was in my normal 9 till 5, which was sometimes longer than a 9 till 5, I just thought I'm trading my time for money to work really hard for an average wage to make somebody else's dream come true,
Yes,
rather
exactly
than
that. Yeah.
so it was like a light bulb moment of like, what am
And
I
when you've got
doing?
the dream, it's different if you don't have anything else. If you don't have this idea of, oh, I could have been doing this or could do this, oh my God, or I would do this better. Even when you're sitting in your own job and you realize, because so many people, for example, might be working within an industry or within a company and actually realize that they could be running that business better
Mm-hmm.
than it's being done.
Yeah.
But they don't feel like they've got the voice because they're actually just an employee, right? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like even when you feel like that, there's something telling you you could go out and do this yourself, and this could be your business, and you could run it in the way that you feel would be, you know, would run smoother, be more profitable, would be more, you know, inclusive and stuff, or anything that you find that's within a business that you realize actually this should be done this way, or it'd be better for the people, it'd be better for the business, it would be better for revenue, you know, that time would be spent better. If your brain thinks like that,
Mm-hmm.
then you should be thinking, maybe I should do this myself, maybe I could do this myself, because that's what happened to me. I realized I was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could literally do this. I know I've gone around it a weird way because usually in construction, so basically the person would be a roofer and then decide to open up a roofing company, or, you know, they were working for a scaffolding company and then they decided to set up their own scaffold. So they usually know the trade before and the product and the service before the rest, you know. But with me, I knew how to run the back office of a construction company, but I didn't know the product oak to the, you know, like specialize in it. The most I had was that I had furniture from Oak Furniture Land.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, that is the thing of why you bring people who do specialize in it, who are really passionate about that product. And actually, all that happens is you learn and you become passionate about it,
Mm-hmm.
because now it's everything to me. You know, Southern Oak's my baby. That's what keeps a roof over me and my children's head, food in our bellies, and, you know, affords us the lifestyle that we want to have.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. And I
it will all
think,
fall into place. I ultimately surround yourself with people who are the best people to be in those positions within your company. You can't know everything, and that was one thing I had to really get used to, that you can't know everything straight away, and that's fine.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I think that's another barrier people put in place, isn't it? Of waiting because they're like, well, I need to learn this first and I need to learn that
Yeah,
first. But actually you learn as you go. And if there is
exactly.
people that can help you with that, then brilliant, bring them in. So yes, I know in the past I've been very I still have a little bit of it where I'm like wanting everything to be perfect. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
it's fine. Like
yeah,
the other day I actually froze on a podcast and I was just frozen, my face was frozen. I was like, it's fine. Still using
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's real,
Because
it's
it's
raw.
real. It's real, it's raw, it's authentic. It's, you know, we're human beings and these things happen, you know. It's like you can only so much prepare for these things, because like you say, you know, the conversation's going to go and you might have like this, and we can't sit here and be looking down at our notes the full time and things like that. You just allow the conversation to flow and
Yeah.
speak from your, you know, your heart and your true experiences.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, I love that. And some great tips there as well. Thank you, Sonia.
Mm.
So, with regards to, I know you've spoken a little bit about your community side of the work that you do as well, which I absolutely love the different lines of community work that you're in as well. So, can you just explain a little bit about what that is and what you're doing?
Okay, so I'm on the board for a charity called Roadworks Media. That is run, and it was founded by a good friend of mine, Quince Garcia. We are both from South East London. We both came up in the same circumstances as a lot of these children that are now, you know, who he looks after. Let's call them young people, rather than just children, because some of them are sort of like more in the later teens and stuff, going into adulthood. And basically, it's about providing opportunities for them and giving them, because it's easy for people to say, oh, no, but it's a choice, you know. But if people are not actually helping them and providing these choices, it's hard to choose the good from the, you know, the good route from the bad route if you're not being shown a good route or no one's giving you that opportunity to take it. So that's where we kind of come in. So what happens is probation. These children, these young people will either been to prison or are on the verge of going to prison. They'll be they'll be caught up in things like a gang life, and and maybe possibly sort of selling drugs and things like that to support themselves. They'll probably come from sort of more broken families, and also knife crime and things like that, which obviously, as we know, is rife, especially sort of like in the south of England as well, sort of southeast London. We find it's like, it's really bad. So what will happen is the probation will basically refer them into Quince, into Roadworks Media, and he will then provide them a safe space for them to come. They will come in there and they'll be able to learn different experiences within the media. So within this, media is Quince's thing. So this is why he set it up as that. And actually he went to prison and came out, and basically the Prince's Trust Fund is what helped him to start this. So it's him now giving back. And basically they will learn all different things, from being behind the camera to being in front of the camera. And then what will happen is then Quince will then try to be able to place them as sort of runners and things like that, in sort of entry level roles within media companies. So that is showing them that, you don't have to the street doesn't need to be just because that's where you're born and that's your circumstance you're born into. It doesn't need to be your, where you end up, sort of thing. And then having people like myself and other people like me, and like Quince himself, to be able to show them and actually have that representation that matters to them. They can actually physically see people that are from where you're from, done what you've done, been where you've been, and have come out the other side and are now just working in normal, like in jobs or owning their own companies and things like that. So it's just, for me, I want to now try to make it so it's not just media, because there's so many kids that might not be into wanting to be an actor or a rapper or or be a cameraman or something like that. I want to try and now start bringing in the construction industry side of things into it as well, and try to maybe be able to place them in, in things like that as well. The government already do so much through sort of the job centre and stuff, where you can get like your CSCS card and things like that all for free. And things like that. So I want to kind of try and start moving into different industries as well, not just media, just so it sort of reaches more of them.
Yeah, that's
so it was a long answer.
I love that, because
just go on.
It's another thing that again, two things that I always stand by and say is feel the fear and do it anyway, but also, which relates to what you've just been saying, is that your past does not define you.
Yes.
And this community work was something that really kind of hit home with me, and maybe want to know a little bit more as well, is because my background with my family life, my upbringing has been very drug abuse related, very violent. So I've grown up around that kind of life, right, my whole life. I've become very much the carer for the family, of being the one that fixes things and tries to help, but so the story behind it really fascinated me, because it's kind of the work that I'm going into as well, is I'm looking to actually work with a charity at the moment that also works with helping people in this way, that are either like homeless, drug abuse, alcohol, getting them back into work and stuff like that as well. But what I really want to do as well is, because I see the impact that this also has on the actual families of these people. Yes. It's a lot of like mindset work and personal growth work and self-worth, self-love work around it for the families as well. I know the impact it's had on like my mum and the guilt she has around it, even though none of it's her fault. So I just love that. Like, it's just such great work that you're doing there to really help people just completely have that full turnaround of their life. So is there anything that kind of gave you that passion to go into that in your own personal circumstance, or was it just something that kind of resonated with you on, I want to help?
I think it resonates with me because it's where I'm from and it's what I grew up around. It's the reason why as well I moved. Once my child was about to go into school years, I moved away from Southeast London, because I didn't want my child to be growing up around that sort of them sort of circumstances and stuff, and having to have that really sort of hard exterior, that barrier. And even like now, like as my children were growing up, I had to learn to parent my children very differently to how I was parented, because I had to remember that they're not growing up around the same things as me. They're not seeing the same things as me. They don't walk out of their house and feel that they have to be ready for something, anything, you know. They walk out and they're just free as a bird, just do what they want and feel comfortable, feel safe in their environment, don't think anyone's going to come up and try and do anything or take something from them, or do you know what I mean? And so therefore it's like I even sometimes used to feel a little bit distance to my own children in the way of feeling that they weren't like me. And that, and I had to like almost come to terms with like, Sonia, you brought them here to grow up in a different area, so they didn't have to have that. They didn't have to go through these sort of things. And now you're thinking that they're soft. Oh my God. Oh, I'm hurting your feelings. Oh my God. Stop being so sensitive. Stop being so. And then I realized, no, these are big things to them because that's all that's in their life.
Yeah.
But big things to me were massive, you know, compared to, would be like a nightmare for them, you know. So
yeah.
So this is the thing. I think that it's like sometimes we forget when we're trying to give our children a better life than what we had and a better experience of childhood than we have, we need to remember that when they come out a little bit different to us and it seems like they're a bit soft or a bit sensitive or a bit, it's just because they haven't had to deal with certain things, and you should be happy for that. It means that you've done the right thing, you did your job, and you know they're having a happier childhood. And you know, they don't have to have this hard exterior all the time. I seriously, when I came to Essex, I cried for about a year. I was so different to everybody. I looked like I was really aggressive all the time. I spoke with my hands all the time. It was, my demeanor probably just felt really, it took a long time for me to be able to really just sort of realize it's fine, everything's nice here, nothing's going to happen here. We're, you know, and so the feeling of, I know that that's what those young people get up every day and leave out their house not knowing what is to come. Not everyone else is waking up like that. Not everybody else starts their day like that, you know. And whether that's from within their own home, with, like you were saying, you know, you could be in your own home and seeing violence, seeing drugs, seeing, you know, seeing all abuse and seeing these sort of things, but then they could step out and it's no better. Even when they step out on the road, it's no better. So it's, you know, it's having that sort of empathy for that and realizing that nobody's choosing that. You're not choosing that. If you could have another option and another way of life, you would try for it. Some people can't step away, maybe it's too in them now, but some people at least want to try the other side of life. You know, and that's what all I want to do, just give them the opportunity. You're not going to get everyone, you're not going to save all of them, but you know, let's at least try.
That's a big thing, isn't it? And I love that you've just said that, because I do think everybody does have a choice. When I look at my family and the upbringing I've had and what I've been around, we've all had the same upbringing, but we're all very different. My brother's a drug addict, but I'm not. But I was brought up in the exact same environment. But I think it's that mindset around it and the knowing that you want something different. And I think that's the first step, isn't it? Is the people that would come to you, they have to want to change.
Yes, exactly.
And if they don't want it, it doesn't matter what we do or how we try to help.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to be ready. They've got to be ready for it. And some of them might come and then maybe, you know, it doesn't work out and then they don't bother keep coming. And then a year later, maybe they might come back and then actually feel more ready, because maybe even just mentally mature, or maybe they've been through something and they go, oh, do you know what? Maybe they've gone inside and then they realize, oh, prison isn't for me. I don't want to keep going back there. I need to try to, you know, take this opportunity and actually try and find a way into work. So it just depends. Everyone will come at their own time, and when it's right for them. And some people never, you know, because you can't save everyone.
Yeah, definitely. I know that's amazing that you're doing there, and I hope you're very proud of that, because you will be having such an impact on so many people's lives with that as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So with regards, I know one of the things that you've said to me before is how you want to kind of champion women that are starting later in life as well, which again, I think is a big thing where people hold themselves back because they will feel a bit like they're too old or they're too used to something. So I don't know anything else. How do I do something different to what I've always done? Or even when like relationships break down, like yourself, I had a very long-term relationship that broke down. I feel like sometimes that can be, I don't know if you felt like this, but I know I did, and a lot of people do. you kind of lose who you are in those
Yeah,
moments. It's like,
100%.
this is all I've ever known. I've been with this person like X amount of years. I don't know
Yeah.
anything different. Who am I without them? Kind of feeling. It's
Yes.
very hard to know where to step forward from there and how to take your own journey now in your own path. So my mission is very similar with yours as well, and that's another reason why I really wanted you on Empower Her, because I just resonated with you in so many ways.
Mm.
And so a big part of what I do is helping women to rise, thrive, and redefine their worth. And there's lots of things that you've said to me when we've discussed this before that it hits all these same kind of points.
Yeah.
So do you feel like when you talk about like having a rich life as well, you've explained a little bit about what that means to you. It's not just about finance, everything that comes with it. But what would your top tips be for those women in those circumstances where they're a bit later on in life or they've gone through things that they feel like they don't know who they are anymore? What tips would you give them to step into this space of taking their own power back?
To be honest, with me, I had to be able to start to realize that I was worthy of things again. And literally, I even read a book called Worthy, which is brilliant. I can't think what the author's name is now, but I'll share it with you. Brilliant book. And literally, because I think as well, especially if you've become a parent as well, what seems to happen is that you become somebody's wife or partner. You become somebody's mother. You become all of the things except for yourself. And you not purposely, but you just start to lose a little bit more of yourself, and you start to get used to putting yourself last all the time, when actually you shouldn't be. But we feel like we're meant to be. We almost feel like we're taught to be like, oh, well, we make sure that, the house is sorted, the children are sorted, the animals are sorted, the partner's sorted, and you're always last. Usually even like you'll even serve your dinner last. You'll sit at the table last after you've helped everybody else. And you get used to being the last person you look after.
Yeah.
And I feel like actually, if I didn't have that breakup, maybe I would have continued like that forever and not actually realizing how bad that was and how unhealthy that was for me. There was like, and so therefore for me, one of the main things is about getting back to realizing who you are as an individual. You're not just mum, or you're not just someone's wife or girlfriend, or, you are, I'm Sonia, and Sonia is worthy of, respect, love, to have passion again in what she does, and to be able to enjoy, to take time out for herself. So whether that's me going to the gym or to read a book, or, self-help books and things like that, or to take time to travel with or without my kids, solo traveling I do now. I'm literally about fully taking time for myself again and not feeling guilty for it. So yeah, that will be my tips. Remember that you're an individual. Before everything else, you was who you were. Yeah. And then you need to make sure that you're giving yourself that self-love, that time, and realizing that you're worthy of those things and not feeling any form of guilt about taking that time. Learning to say no, learning to say just not right now. Right now, I need time for me. Right now, my head feels too crowded. That's what used to happen to me. I used to not be able to sleep properly because my head would have so many different things going on. You're organizing everyone's life. Everyone's waiting for you to organize everything. What's for dinner? What thing? I've got to get you to football training. I've got to do this for work. Your head is like constant. You've got to be able to take out time for yourself and not feel guilty for it. And then everything else will start to just feel better, happier. And actually, you'll realize that your children are happier, your house is happier, because you're not so stressed, because you've been taking that little bit of time that you need for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I do like everything you've just said. It sounds like I'm listening to myself right now.
Yeah.
Everything that you say is literally what I teach, and I read a lot of self-worth books, and they've helped me in so many ways. So I'd recommend like personal development books to everybody, and also solo traveling. I would say to absolutely everybody, you have to at least go on one solo trip. But once you've done it once, you'll do it again and again.
People are so scared. They go to me, I can't believe you go away on your own. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen to you? Do you know what is so nice?
Yeah.
You can choose to have alone time, and then you can choose to, if you see people sitting there, and just talk to them. What are they
Yeah.
going to do? They'll either shut you down quickly, or they'll have conversation with you.
Yeah.
You know, we have to stop being so frightened of everything.
Yeah.
People are frightened to just say good morning to somebody now.
Oh, I know.
How
Yeah. I
many
mean,
times do you just walk past people, no one says morning to each other
I
anymore?
know it's
You
crazy.
know,
I've
now I'm
got
like really
friends.
big on that. I'm just like, good morning.
Yeah. And I
People
think
think, oh my
it's
God.
always, a lot of it is that one person needs to go first, don't they?
Yes.
And then everybody else is like, oh, okay, morning.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but I even have friends that say to me, I can't, like, I do a lot by myself. I'll go for meals, I'll go to a theatre show, I'll go to the Odeon.
Yeah.
Um, and they're like, I can't believe you can go for a meal, but how do you go for a meal by yourself? You go to the cinema by yourself. And I'm like, yeah, it's like, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Just be, not have to consider anybody else and just be,
Exactly.
and it makes you so much more present and enjoy the moment because there's nothing distracting you. It's just whatever you want to experience in that time.
Yeah.
So I recently went on, but I've been back, I say recently, I've been back for nearly 2 years now. But my first solo trip, I've traveled a lot, but my first solo trip was 6 months in Mexico. So
Oh,
I went for six
wow.
months by myself. And it was,
My God, that's a long time.
I know, right? And it was the most, I just literally went for my own personal growth journey. I wanted to practice a lot of, I wanted to get into dance. So I started dancing salsa and bachata. I wanted to do a lot of
Yeah.
yoga and mindset stuff. I went on retreats out there. So it literally was 6 months for me. And it came with a lot of struggles that I didn't expect. It really
Mm.
showed me my strength as well, because it was the first time I was truly, even though I met friends and stuff there, it was the first time I was truly alone without having anyone to really fall back on and be there for the support or the comfort. I had to
Yes.
fend for myself, but
Yes. Yeah.
it showed me my strength. I didn't know how much I could do alone because I've always had somebody there.
Mm.
It was just, it really changed everything for me, solo traveling.
And I think this is why, you know, sometimes we always see the things that happen, that we see as bad things that happen to us. But you everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, literally, I think for me as well, I have faith in God.
Mm-hmm.
I've been brought up in church, and so I have a faith in God. So so with my faith in God, I believe that nothing that's for me will pass me by.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, and that everything's in God's plan.
Yeah.
And that, you know, if he's shutting one door or removing somebody from my life, it's to make room for, you know, to open another door and to welcome other people into my life that are for this next stage of my life.
Yeah.
So that also gives me some level of peace, you
Yeah.
know, with the things that happen. Don't get me wrong, whatever you go through, you still feel it. You still, you know, I still grieved my, you know, my relationship that I didn't expect to end, and things like that. So I still grieve that, you know, and I even, surprisingly, even for myself, because I couldn't find the answers or the way to get past it, even took myself to counselling. After about 4 sessions, I was like, okay, I'm done with this now. but you know, but at the same time, it did help. It did work in the way that it allowed me to be able to release it to somebody out of me, to somebody that I didn't know, that so I didn't have to feel like, oh my God, they could throw it back in my face, or, you know, if we have an argument, they might, you know, so I couldn't cope with being vulnerable around somebody I knew. So I had to find a stranger to be able to do that. But it did allow me to release it. It helped me to also learn how to deal with things and make decisions later on without reacting straight away, but taking the time to process it and decide the best outcome in, you know, or the best way of dealing with things.
Yeah.
So it did help me, but I did like 6 sessions of it. But it's about, again, that would have been a fear of mine, to going, oh, I don't want to go and sit and talk to a stranger, you know. But I think you have to always realize that there's certain things you're going to have to do that are out of your comfort zone or out of something that's the norm for you. Oh, no, when my family goes and does counseling and things like that, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it. Do you know what I mean? I think you need to be open to more things and stuff, and you're, you know, because you never know what's going to work for you.
Yeah.
Like all the whole manifesting and stuff like that, I love it now. I used to look, my sister was doing it years ago, like the whole secret and things like that, and I used to just think, what is this nonsense? And then it took me years, like probably a good 5 years before since she had probably picked up that book, before I picked up the book and did it, because it wasn't my time. I wasn't ready for it then. Now is my time. You know, nothing before its time. Everything has its right time, and when you're going to receive something,
Definitely. There's
more
been books that
deeply.
I've read actually, started reading, and I've had to just put it down because I'm like, I can't, it's not
Too
going
much
in.
right now.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's obviously not my book for right now, and I have to move on to
Yeah.
something else. And I think that's a great point actually, is to be aware of things like that, that you don't have to force things. Things will come naturally for the right
Mm,
time and the right
yeah.
place you're in it for that time as well. I love that. So finishing up, Sonia, then final question I always finish with on the Empower Her series is, what does empowerment mean to you?
Um, for me, it's definitely about being yourself and, trying to live life on your terms, so that you can just feel just happy with the choices that you're making every day. Be able to look yourself in the mirror and feel happy with the person who's looking back at you, and know the person who's looking back at you. Understand that person and feel like you're happy with who you are every day, And listen, every day ain't going to be good because then we wouldn't be human. But ultimately, the majority of the time you want to feel that, you're doing the right things, you're living right, and you're making sure that you're taking care of yourself and living life on your terms and actually having passion for what you're doing, especially with work and stuff, because I just think we spend so much time of our life working that we need to have some joy in what we do.
Yeah,
So just
definitely.
go for it. Just take the first step. And even if you fail, doesn't matter. It was, oh, I'm gonna be so embarrassed if it doesn't work out, and then I've got to go back to 9 to 5. Trust me, I went through that phase when in that first year I was thinking, oh my God, what if it doesn't work and I've got to go back to 9 to 5? It's gonna be humiliating. That might happen.
Yeah.
Lots of people that have succeeded have had to do it time and time and time again before it really, before they hit that jackpot and it went well. So, but
I love
yeah.
that. And that's a beautiful point to end on. It's a very self-love point to end on. So I love that.
Yes.
Thank you, Sonia. So it's
Oh,
been
thank
lovely to
you.
have you on Empower Her. Thank you so much. I'm sure you're going to inspire so many people, and I'm very excited to carry on following your journey and to see where the next steps take you.